Hello everyone, myself Mrs. Hansa Pawar from New Catholic Mission School, Jhabua, and I welcome you all in the class of economics. As you all know students that in the first two videos we have discussed many of the topics of chapter first, that is Indian economy on the eve of independence. Now in this third video, which is our last video for chapter 1, we will again consider or we will again study some few topics of chapter 1 only. This is part third or video third. So I hope the first two videos, if you have gone through properly, then you could easily understand all the topics which we have covered in chapter 2. Now moving to the third video, and the part is the portion which we are going to cover is demographic condition, occupational structure, infrastructure, the positive contributions of the British rule to India and the state of Indian economy at the time of independence, that is just at the time of independence, that means in the year 1947. So first starting with the demographic condition. When we say demography means it is something related to the death rate, birth rate, infant mortality rate, literacy rate, health facilities which were available in India, the state of poverty, all these topics are covered in this demographic condition. So what was the demographic condition during the independence or during the British rule? So the demographic condition which exhibits all the features, and it shows actually these features we will study one by one. These all features says that the condition of demography was very stagnant and very backward. Now the first topic which we will cover is the high birth rate and death rate. When we say birth rate means the total number of children who are taking birth refers to a number which are born per 1,000 in a year. That means it is the measurement is 1,000 in a year. So how many children are taking birth? That depends on the birth rate. Death rate refers to number of people who are dying per 1,000 in a year. So if we see the birth rate and death rate, both were very high. And why they were high? Because of the malnutrition, that is shortage of food, the poor conditions of people, that is they were suffering from poverty, and the poor health facilities. So all these three things combined or all together made an effort, and the birth rate and death rate was very high. Many people, children who are taking birth and many people who are dying at early age. So it was very bad. Second was extremely low literacy rate. As we know that the literacy rate, people were not aware about the education, the literacy, so many of the people were illiterate. So only 16% of people, less than 16% of total population who were literate actually, and out of that the female literacy rate was as low as 7% only. Now you can imagine people were not educated that time, not literate, so the condition was actually backward only. Now the next topic, third feature of this demographic condition, it is poor health facilities. As in India that time, the public health, people were not aware about the health facilities, and actually the public health facilities were not sufficient or were not adequate which is provided to the people of the nation. It was unavailable largely or not sufficient to meet the needs of large number of people, and because of which, as a result, lot of people used to die because of various air and waterborne disease. Now air and waterborne disease means diarrhea, jaundice, cholera, etc. So people used to die because of inadequate health facilities, proper medicines, pills, doctors, the facilities were not available that time, no clinics, no hospitals. So it was this particular airborne and waterborne disease because of which many people used to die. It was spread widely. Then high infant mortality rate. Infant mortality rate means it refers to number of infants. Infant means children below the age of 1 year who used to die before reaching to 1 year of age, and per 1,000 birth in a year. And the rate was quite alarming. Alarming means it is urgent call for it. It was alarming, that is 218 infants used to die every year per 1,000 students, 1,000 children who takes birth, and in which 218 children used to die, that is infants. And why it was, the condition was because of the poor health facilities, lack of nutrition, no doctors and no services were available. Then fifth is low life expectancy. When we say life expectancy means how many people used to survive for a long period of time. That time the life expectancy rate was very low. It was only 44 years. While today if we see, it is 68 years. It refers to average number of years for which people are expected to live. The rate was very low. It was only 44 years during the independence, in contrast or in comparison to the present age, that is 68 years. And why it was so? Because many people used to die because of lack of adequate health facilities. Now, sixth demographic condition was widespread poverty. Widespread means it is spread all over. Poverty means the state of poorness. The overall standard of living of common people in rural areas or in India, it was very poor and very low, and there was widespread poverty in the nation. Why? Because people were mostly depending on agriculture. There were no means of earning for them. Now moving to, after finishing the demographic condition, now we will move to occupational structure. When we say occupational structure, means it is the total number of workforce or total number of persons who are employed in certain sector. It can be agriculture, industries or service sector. So the occupational structure refers to distribution of working person. Working person means people who are employed or engage in certain earning or for their livelihood across different industries and sectors. Now during the British rule, the occupational structure of India showed very little change or very mild change. Why? Because most of the peoples were depending on agriculture for their livelihood, and many were unemployed also. It can be summarized with these features. That is predominance of primary. As I said, primary occupation means primarily our people were depending on agriculture for their livelihood. A large proportion of population were depending only on agriculture rather than industries or service sector, because it was not at all developed that time. So it accounts for the remaining. Now second reason was regional variations. Area wise there was lot of differences among various states, and these regional variations were that the states of Tamil Nadu, that is in South and Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Karnataka and Maharashtra and West Bengal witnessed a decline, or there was a downfall in agriculture sector. People were not all depending on agriculture sector for their livelihood, and a similar increase in the manufacturing and service sector, and the same proportion or same ratio of increase was there in many people from these states were depending on manufacturing and service sector also with agriculture. However, during the same time there had been a constant increase in the proportion of agriculture, people who were depending on agriculture, that is workforce, in states such as Odisha, Rajasthan and Punjab. So people were mostly depending on agriculture in these states, whereas in these states people were depending on both the sector, agriculture also and manufacturing and service sector also. Now moving to our third topic, that is infrastructure. When we say infrastructure means it actually refers to roads, railways, transportation, communication facilities which are actually provided to the people of the nation. So what was the condition of infrastructure facilities during those times? The infrastructure facility was very poor during the British rule. Some efforts were made by Britishers to develop some basic infrastructures, and that too for fulfilling their own economic interests. Like we have discussed in the previous two videos also, that they have contributed railways, post and telegraph and ports. And why they have developed or set up these things? So to fulfill their own purpose, that is for transporting the raw materials and for passengers, that is who are the passengers here? The British officials only, who used to visit various places in India. So for their convenience they have developed these infrastructure facilities. Now the basic infrastructure in which they have worked are roads, railways, ports, water transports, post and telegraphs. These were the main areas. The basic aim of this British government behind the development of these structure was not to provide any basic amenities or facilities to us, to Indians, to the people, but to serve their own colonial interests. And what was their colonial interest? As I said, that to transport the passengers, to transport the raw materials to certain areas for the purpose of trade. Now the features in which they have covered or they have developed so far, it was roads. Now if we talk about roads, the roads were built to serve the interest of mobilizing their army. Mobilizing means for the movement of their soldiers, of their army, and shifting of or transporting of raw materials, and people living in these rural areas that time suffered badly because of rainy season as during the rainy season it was very difficult for supplying the food items to these affected areas, especially in case of famines, drought or heavy rainfall. So roads have served the purpose for this. Then second was railways. This was the most important contribution of the colonial rule or British rule to we Indians. And it was introduction of railways in 1850 it was started. The railways broke all the geographical and cultural barriers. When we say geographical and cultural barriers means now it was very easy for us to move from one place or one city to another city. So it was actually an integration process which was starting. And promote national integration. National integration means unity. Okay, so there were no barriers of caste, religion, creed or anything like that. So railways served the purpose of this. People were able to undertake long distances. Now it was very easy because of railways. And railways also enhanced commercialization of agriculture. Now in commercialization of agriculture, what was the purpose it was solved by railways? That they used to shift or transport the raw materials from the places where it was required or needed. And promoted foreign trade also. The construction of railways brought more benefits to the Britishers basically and a huge economic loss to Indian economy. Whatever loss they have suffered, they were used to collect these losses from we Indians only, from our economy only. So it was actually a heavy loss that time, but it was the best contribution by them. Now third was air and water transport system. Now British government who took measures for developing this air and water transport, it was far from satisfactory as it failed to compete with the railways. That means air and water transport, boats and ships could not solve the purpose of railways. What railways did, it was much better. And J.R.D. Tata was the first person, Indian person, who was actually the pioneer who leads the Indian aviation in the year 1932. Now moving to communication system. Post and telegraphs which were serving a best purpose in terms of communication. And this means of communication was very expensive also. That is a system of electric telegraph which they have invented or which they have started. It was very effective also and very expensive also, as it introduced by the colonial government to serve the purpose of maintaining law and order. That means all those administrative officials, if they want to look after the whole country, what is happening where, and all these officials who wanted to communicate with other officials who were appointed at various states, so they used this post and telegraph system for which, and in which electric telegraph, which was very effective also and very expensive also. And the postal system served as a useful means of communication to the public also. Now moving to, after finishing all this, moving to, if we talk about Britishers, so what was the positive? We are actually looking to all the negative effects which was given by Britisher. Because of colonial rule we have suffered, we were exploited, we were tortured and so on. But there are certain, we say a coin has two sides. Okay, so there are certain positive contribution or positive effects of British rule also. Something good which they have done, that they have made us self-sufficient. When we say self-sufficient means we were depending on ourselves, especially in terms of agriculture, the cultivators. We were self-sufficient in food grain production, which is because of them only. Commercialization of agriculture, which is initiated by British government, made us self-sufficient. Now that we can easily grow, all the farmers, they are engaged in commercialization in which they can use these crops for self-consumption also and for selling it into the market also, so that they can earn well. Okay, so it made our farmers or cultivators self-sufficient. Second contribution was better means of transportation. As we discussed in the previous topic, that the means of transportation was proper or was done properly just because for the purpose of traveling. Okay, so development of roads and railways, which have actually promoted or provided a basic infrastructure to us, which was very cheap and very rapid also. The means of transport system, it resulted in development of nation. Socially also we developed and economically we also developed. The social integration was possible now. National integration was promoted because of the transporting system. Then third contribution was control on or check on famines. Famines means the shortage of food when it happens. So famine refers to situation of acute means very large, very huge, acute, more shortage of food grains in a particular area where food is not available at all. So development of roads and railways made it possible to shift or to transport these food items to the place where it is required. Like it made it convenient to supply the food to different places. Especially it is very helpful in terms of the areas which were suffering from or which are facing some natural calamities like famines, like drought or like floods, etc. So to these affected areas now supply of food items was very much possible. So it was also a best contribution. Then fourth was shift to monetary economy. As we have heard many times that we Indian were engaged in barter system of exchange. Barter system of exchange means where money was not utilized or used. So where we used to transfer or exchange, that is the trade was happening from goods to goods. Okay. Now because of Britishers only, it was that particular thing happened that they have shifted us from barter system to monetary exchange system. Now British rule helped Indian economy to shift from barter system of exchange to monetary system of exchange, which was actually very helpful for us. Why? Because we have money, we can use it, that money, but as a medium of exchange, as a better means for earning our livelihood. Now the last topic which we have is state of Indian economy on the eve of independence. Before this we have discussed about before the independence, after the independence. Now what was the condition of our country's economy during or just at the time of independence? In which condition the Britishers left us? Okay, we will discuss that. The first thing which was happening is colonial economy, as they ruled us for 200 long years. Okay, so we were under colonial rule for 200 years. The British rule resulted in huge drain of wealth. Drain of wealth means the wealth was washed away from India to Britain, and from which resulted in supply of raw materials. All the raw materials in which we were very famous, we were rich in or abundance natural resources we have. They have shifted all these raw materials or transported these raw materials from India to their own country. They have supplied this. And in order to facilitate their British industries, in order to furnish their own industries for the development of their economy, they have supplied all the raw materials from India to Britain. So it was drain of wealth only. Then second was semi-feudal economy. When we say semi-feudal economy means there are two aspects of this particular economy. Feudal system, you have heard this, in which the land settlement system was there. Land settlement system means zamindari system, which gave birth to a feudal relation between landlord and tenant. Now here the landlords was supposed to collect the huge amount of taxes or heavy taxes in the form of lagan from the farmers or cultivators. So this kind of semi-feudal economy which was left after the British, in which the landlord used to charge a very high amount of tax from the in the form of lagan from the cultivators. Now third was our economy, we have discussed many times, our economy was stagnant. Stagnant means which is not at all developing, or development rate was very slow. The country's growth was stagnant as the aggregate real output was as low as 2%, and whereas the per capita output or per capita income was as less than 0.5%. Now you can imagine that the state of India, it was very backward and stagnant. It was at a very low rate. Now fourth was backward economy. Stagnant, backward, we have heard this words many times. When we say backward, that at the end of British rule, the Indian economy was very backward and underdeveloped in terms of many things, that is agriculture, industrialization was not there, service sector was not at all developed, and even they did not make any efforts to develop these things. The main reason for this backwardness of our agriculture, our economy, was because of low level of productivity. Farmers were not efficient enough, they were not aware about the modern techniques of farming, so productivity was very low, and mostly people were depending on rainfall only. There was no irrigation facilities, no fertilizers, nothing. So our ignorant farmers were in the state of backwardness, and because of which it resulted in low level of productivity. Low per capita income, as we have discussed, that it was only 0.5% only. Then traditional methods of agriculture. People were using all the traditional means of agriculture. No facilities were available there. mass illiteracy, people were very much illiterate, around 16% of people who were actually literate, and in which women's literacy rate was as low as 7%. So this was also one of the reason. Then high birth rate and death rate. So birth rate and death rate, when it is very high, these all reasons are actually constituted because of the backwardness of economy, or we can say the economy was backward because of these many reasons. Now fifth is depleted and depreciated economy. When we say depleted, depreciated means the value of an economy was actually declining. So depleted economy refers to an economy wherein arrangements have been made to replace the physical assets like machineries, equipments, plant, etc. used for the war. Why? Because the assets are depreciated, that is their value declines due to their excessive use by the Britishers. So it made our economy depleted one. There were no arrangements for substitution of the physical assets. Then last is imputed economy. Imputed economy means the British rules have their own strategy. They were very wise. So they actually deteriorated our condition or exploited or tortured us because of their one policy, that was divide and rule. So because of this policy of divide and rule, they always promoted discrimination between various people, various states or cities. Discrimination means differences, and this discrimination, they have actually sown the seed here between various groups on the basis of religion, caste, language, culture, tradition, etc. So because of Britishers only, our states, our cities or people were having this discrimination because of these many things. Now then one more thing which was happening, that geographically we have divided, that is the partition time. When the partition happened between India and Pakistan, now it was in two states. The partition disrupted or destructed the whole economy due to the problem of rehabilitation of the refugees. Now rehabilitation means to give or provide shelter to all these people who were refugees, who came from Pakistan, who were Indians. So it was a big problem or a huge problem for our economy to deal with this problem of providing them shelter or rehabilitating them of large number of refugees from Pakistan, and of course the shortage of our materials like jute and cotton, in which we were worldwide famous. Now these fertile land where we used to grow this jute and cotton, it actually goes to Pakistan after the partition. This was also a heavy loss for Indian economy. So because of all these reasons, we can say that our economy was actually backward, and this was the state of Indian economy at the time of independence. So my dear student, now this is the time to wind up the class, but before that I just want to say one thing, that these three videos in which we have covered the first chapter. Now for better understanding the concept, you need to go through all the three videos or all the three lectures properly. If you constantly do so or properly hear this, you can easily understand chapter 1, which is very easy. Okay, it is not very difficult. So I hope you will follow my instructions. Now after this, in the fourth video, again we will meet with chapter 2. Again it is related to that only, that is Indian economy between the year 1950 to 1990. So till then, take care, goodbye and keep learning.